International trade. What is international trade? Well, it is exports and imports, the sales of goods and services to foreigners, and the purchases of goods and services from foreigners. Why do countries trade? Let's watch this short video.
Countries engage in international trade based on the logical saying of no man is an island. Countries trade to benefit from interacting with other countries. Countries in isolation have to contend with being self-sufficient and having a lesser variety of goods. With international exchanges of goods and services, countries get to enjoy a wider variety of goods that may offer better quality. Besides that, the key reason for trade is that by trading goods, countries can afford to specialize in producing only some items that they're relatively better at producing. Trade means each country does not need to produce everything, but just focus its scarce resources on what it produces more efficiently, or what it has a comparative advantage in. The country hence focuses all its resources in what it's best at producing, mass producing for the whole world, and exchanging these for what it's not so great at producing. On a global scale, this means that the world becomes a global production hub, with each country specializing in producing what it's best at. The world's scarce resources are hence put to their best use for all our wants, allowing more to be produced and hence consumed globally. This is the main advantage of trade that is spelt out in the law of comparative advantage. Plus, with mass production, there are cost savings as firms benefit from both purchases and specialized manpower, or known as economies of scale. So international trade really is a big step forward for the world in increasing its efficiency. That's why we have countries signing trade deals to foster more cross-border transactions that tap on each other's resources.
So what can we conclude after watching this video? International trade increases if all trading partners benefit from it after competitive advantage and specialization. Free trade agreements promote trade, in other words, promote exports and imports. As countries specialize in trade, their efficiency, their productivity improves, especially because of competition. Government, however, may restrict trade through, let's say, the imposition of a tariff, which is a tax imposed on imports and makes imports more expensive. So a higher tariff reduces imports, a lower tariff increases imports. Quotas. A quota is a limit on the quantity of a good that may be imported. For example, the United States limits the amount of sugar imported from Central American countries. A lower quota means less imports. A higher quota means higher imports are allowed. One important factor that influences trade is the exchange rate, or the currency exchange rate. For example, $1 exchanges for 23 Mexican pesos, approximately. Two important things to keep in mind. American exports to Mexico are Mexican imports from the United States. These are the two sides of the market. One is the sales, which are the exports to Mexico. The other one are just the purchases. Mexicans are buying the products from us. American imports from Mexico equal Mexican exports to the United States. Again, the two sides. Imports from Mexico are our purchases. Mexican exports to the United States are their sales to us. Another thing to remember is that if the dollar depreciates in value, that means the peso appreciates in value. If the dollar appreciates in value, that means the peso depreciates in value. So when one currency gains value, the other one loses value, and vice versa. Let's look at case one. The dollar depreciates in value or weakens. Assume the initial rate again is $1 exchanging for 23 pesos. Now the new rate is $1 for 20 pesos. Well, from the point of view of the United States, $1 getting 23 and now $1 getting 20, that means losing value, losing purchasing power. So that means the dollar depreciates in value or weakens. However, remember, if the dollar depreciates, that means the peso appreciates. Well, looking at the same exchange rate, Mexicans use 23 pesos to buy $1, but now they only use 20 pesos to buy $1, so they gain value. A dollar depreciation makes the dollar cheaper, and that means the US products become cheaper too. A peso appreciation makes the peso more expensive, then the Mexican products become more expensive too. Continuing with the same case, cheaper dollars and cheaper American goods increase Mexican imports from the United States. Mexicans are attracted to the cheaper products, which also means American exports to Mexico increase. So the two sides of the market again. On the other hand, more expensive pesos and more expensive Mexican products reduce American imports of Mexican products. For us, the Mexican products are less attractive because they are more expensive. This implies a reduction in Mexican exports to the United States. Again, the two sides of the market. Case 2, the dollar appreciates in value or strengthens. Again, the first rate is 1 to 23 pesos. The new rate is $1 to 25 pesos. So from the point of view of an American, first getting 23 pesos in exchange for $1, and now 25 pesos, that means the American person has more purchasing power. The dollar has appreciated in value or became stronger. Well, a dollar appreciation is equivalent to a peso depreciation. More expensive dollars and more expensive American goods decrease Mexican imports from the United States because they are more expensive, which also means American exports to Mexico decrease, the two sides of the market. Cheaper pesos, on the other hand, and cheaper Mexican products increase American imports of Mexican products. This implies an increase in Mexican exports to the United States.